Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Bald Prairie Real Estate, where I educate you all about real estate. Now 2021 was a crazy year in the Canadian real estate market, and 2022 might be shaping up to be just as crazy, but for completely different reasons. On this video, I want to take a quick look back at those expert predictions that were made a year ago by various different real estate companies and economists to see how close they came. We'll look at the predictions I made in 2021 to see which ones I got right and which ones I definitely got wrong. And then we'll look into 2022. We're going to tell you what's going to happen in the Canadian real estate market in 2022, what the experts have to say, and I'm going to make a couple of bold predictions, what we'll see this year in the Canadian housing market. If you are thinking about buying a house this year and want to get set up with the best real estate agent in your market, I have you covered. My contact information and my link to my calendar is below. You can book me in for an appointment. I'll give you a call, learn about what's important for you when you're buying a house, and then I'm going to get you set up with the best agent to make sure that you can get that house. But as we always do, let's start off with another terrible joke. How do you make the number one disappear? You add a G, and now it's gone. If you have a terrible joke that I can use in a future episode of Bald Prairie Real Estate, put it in the comments below, and like this video, and subscribe if you haven't done already. So how close were the expert predictions for the Canadian real estate market in 2021? Let's take a look. CIBC's worst case scenario saw a 7% decline. Their middle of the road saw a 2.5% increase, and their best case scenario saw an 11% increase. TD had a 7% decline, although they made that prediction quite early in 2019. I think it was October that was made, and they've been fairly pessimistic all through 2020. RBC said an 8.5% increase in prices. The Canadian Real Estate Association said a 9.1% increase in prices. Royal LePage, my company, had a 5.5% increase in home prices. RE/MAX was projecting between 4 and 6%, and my prediction was that we'd see between a 5 and a 10% increase in prices, and that increase would happen in the back half of the year. Besides CIBC's most optimistic best case scenario, the Canadian Real Estate Association actually was the closest on their projection of house prices in Canada increasing 9% in 2021. And of course, that wasn't anywhere close. We ended up at about a 20% increase overall across the country. How did I do in my predictions? Well, I said prices had increased between 5 and 10%. And I took a ton of heat in the comments, people saying I was going to be really wrong. And of course, as a real estate agent, all I'm going to tell you is that prices are going to increase. And even my 10% guess wasn't anywhere close to where we ended up, again at 20%. So moral of the story is, no one person can tell you what's going to happen. Nobody has a crystal ball, as much as I wish I did some days. But if you look at the overall picture, pretty much everybody was expecting that prices were going to increase, and that was correct. Nobody got it close how much they were going to increase. But what's going to happen in the Canadian real estate market in 2022? Will prices continue to rise at 20% per year? Will they flatten off? Will we see prices finally decline? The dreaded Canadian real estate bubble finally pops and we see a market crash? Let's find out. Well, if you're expecting that this is finally the year the Canadian real estate market crashes and house prices in Canada come tumbling down, I don't think you're going to get your wish in 2022. When I'm looked at the different reports from real estate companies, banks, economists, rating agencies, they're all still expecting house prices in Canada to continue to increase. Question now is, by how much? CIBC has said they expect prices to continue, but they haven't attached a percentage amount to that yet. But they do expect that sales will decline about 15% in 2022. TD is expecting prices to increase 7% in 2022. RBC has sales down at nearly 20%, prices up at 3.3%. The Canadian Real Estate Association is saying that sales will decline about 8.6% and that prices will increase 7.6%, although they've already said that that price prediction is probably very conservative. Royal LePage is expecting a 10.5% increase in prices. RE/MAX is expecting a 9.2% increase in prices. And Fitch Ratings has prices increasing about 5 to 7%. I could keep posting reports like this, but I think at this point you probably get the idea. The experts are saying that house prices in Canada are going to continue to increase in 2022, although the number of homes sold is likely to decrease. And the one number there, a 20% decline in homes sold, that sounds very significant. And it would be a big decline in a normal year. 2021 was nowhere near normal. If home sales declined 20% in 2022, that'll put us back to 2020 sales numbers. And 2020 was the most number of homes ever sold in a single year in Canada until 2021 came around. So that's what the experts say. What do I think is going to happen in 2022? Well, starting off in the spring, I think it's going to be a very challenging and competitive market for those looking to buy a house. And that's because we're going into the spring market with the fewest number of homes for sale that I have ever seen. We're going into this with many Canadian real estate markets having 30 to 50% fewer homes for sale than we would typically see at this time of year. We're going to have a busy spring market. Spring is always the busiest time for home buyers. And there's going to be a rush of buyers looking to purchase a home before interest rates rise. I'm going to talk about interest rates in just a second here, but there is going to be a lot of people looking to beat those rising interest rates. So they're going to be added to that pool of buyers that was already planning to buy in the spring. So I think the spring market is going to be extremely challenging and competitive for those looking to buy a house. Multiple offers is not going to be the exception. It's going to be the norm pretty much across Canada, I think. I'm going to go with the rest of the crowd here and say that I think we're going to see fewer homes sold in 2022 than we did in 2021 for two very important reasons. First off, lack of inventory. There just simply isn't houses that people could buy. There's just not enough inventory to satisfy the demand. And I think rising interest rates, or even potentially the worry that interest rates are going to go up significantly, is going to have some buyers sitting on the sidelines this year. With fewer sales, that means prices are probably going to come down in Canada, right? Nope. I actually think house prices in Canada are going to increase between 8 and 10% this year. And what I think is going to be really interesting to watch is what happens in single-family home pricing versus condos. Single family saw a massive run up in 2021 in prices, and condos not so much. And now the gap between the average single family home and a condo has increased significantly, making those condos more attractive to buyers. And in some cases, single family homes have simply been outpriced to what a buyer can actually afford. So you're going to see less sales and less price increase in single family homes. I think condos, the apartment style, and townhouses are going to see the most price appreciation this year. When I do my monthly Canadian real estate market updates, one of the metrics I talk about is that inventory level. That is, number of homes are available to be sold. But the inventory level of houses that Canadians can live in, so just physical dwellings that people could possibly live in, Canada ranks dead last in the number of homes per 1,000 people of the entire G7. And not by a little bit, by a lot. If you could do the Thanos snap and immediately make a bunch of houses appear that people could live in, you would need to create 2 million homes overnight just to move Canada from dead last to average. And in a busy year in Canada, we'll see 250 to 300,000 homes built. So we have a long ways to go from a seller's market to a balanced market, and then eventually to a buyer's market, where that would put downward pressure on prices. If we are in a buyer's market, we're a long ways away from there. And I expect these tight inventory situations across Canada to continue at least for the first half of the year. But I think through the rest of the year, you're going to see tight inventory situations pretty much in every single real estate market in Canada. Another bold prediction I'm going to make is that rents are going to be increasing in 2022. I think we're going to see a lot of upward pressure on rents because of the large influx of people moving to Canada. The government wants to set new records for the number of people making Canada home. They're going to target about 420,000 new Canadians. The previous busiest year was last year at 400,000. And then before that was 2019, where we saw about 300,000 new Canadians. We haven't seen record levels of immigration like this since the 1940s. And a lot of those people are going to start in Canada by renting until they get established before they go out and buy a house. So the rental market is going to continue to be even more competitive. Everybody's talking about interest rates right now. They're saying interest rates are going to go up. The question is by how much, and when do those interest rates go up? How much is it going to impact the market? I agree. I think we're going to see interest rates increase in 2022, but not by nearly as much as what some people have forecast. I think what Scotiabank came out and said 8 interest rate hikes this year. I don't think we're going to see anything close to that. I'm going to go out on a limb and say 2, maybe 3 interest rate hikes. The first one I don't think happens till Q2, and it could be even in the third quarter of this year. So the back half of the year. That's why that spring market's going to be so busy, because interest rates are still going to be low, but it is going to have an impact on the market. Buyers, they don't necessarily look at the total purchase price of a house, they look at the monthly payment. So they're gonna go, okay, my monthly payment is now increased. Do I maybe not spend that much money or not buy entirely? That's a possibility. For end users, people moving into their house, that is less of an important question than it is to investors, where it's gonna have a significant impact on their cash flow. So I think the interest rate hikes, that is gonna impact investors a little bit more than it's gonna impact a person who's just buying a house to move into it. What do you guys think of my Canadian real estate market predictions for 2022? Are we gonna be looking back in a year from now saying, oh boy, Matt got that one really wrong last year? Let me know in the comments below what you guys think is gonna happen this year in the Canadian housing market. Right here is my most recent Canadian real estate market update, getting you updated on what's going on right now in the Canadian housing market. And this is what the YouTube algorithm says you need to watch next on Bald Prairie Real Estate. As always, guys, thanks very much for watching, and give me a like if you love this video.